Welcome back, everybody. You listen to the Discus Lariat Collective podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching the Discus Lariat Collective podcast. Today, we're just going to do something slightly different, I suppose. We're going to just talk about what happened last night in AEW. So, obviously, you have NXT, AEW on Wednesdays. Usually, we do a review of each. Today, we're just going to talk about that main event from AEW St. Patrick's Day Slam. It was Britt Baker against Thunder Rosa. First ever AEW women's main event, I think it was, or Dynamite main event anyway. Yeah, and it was insane. So straight away from like last week or the week before, they were like, right, we're doing this main event. It's going to be Britt Baker against Thunder Rosa. It's going to be a lights out, unsanctioned match. Off the bat, I was thinking, very gimmicky. It could fall flat. That's what I was thinking. Again, it's not a knock on AEW. It's just in general, when you kind of big something up like that, you have all the grounds to fail,
like evolution, revolution, like when the hype is put behind the idea of women on the forefront, not because they've earned their spot, but because we need to show diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, sometimes it feels forced almost. And
with some of the ones that we've gotten before, we know that to be the case.
Yeah,
specifically this one, it earned it.
Absolutely earned it. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like from start to finish, this match was physical. It was aggressive. We had tables, we had ladders, chairs, thumbtacks, crazy spots, and a whole lot of blood. Which, again, before we get into how this kind of can impact going forward, the main thing I want to touch on is the fact that this level of violence, or this level of women's wrestling, I suppose, in terms of like a lot of blood, a lot of gore, weapons, stuff like that, that's not really a case like that would happen weekly. It wouldn't happen to an American audience. It wouldn't happen to a kind of a European or global audience either. It's not something you would see. Think about how long we had to sit through kind of like bra and panties matches and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Women's wrestling has always taken a back seat to stuff like that. And obviously now over the past 5-10 years, it's developed like leaps and bounds. But when you have a match like this, you're thinking maybe, all right, it's going to be like falls count anywhere kind of thing. To be a pin on the outside, they might use the steel steps or the kendo stick. This went above and beyond. This was a legit hardcore match, and I really loved it. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I said earlier actually on Instagram, I said about it could have just been a standard singles match between these two girls, because obviously they're great workers anyway. But no, they went above and beyond, to be honest.
If you could summarize it, like we can issue the TLDR version right here and now. Women get a little bit of spotlight on them sometimes, right? You have Becky Lynch in our main event spot. You have historically you had Leah Trish. You had Fabulous Moolah years ago. You know, you can point out the iconic ones, but compared to the male counterparts, where the comparisons are way more consistent. You know, you have Hogan Andre, Hogan Warrior, Bret Michaels. You have Stone Cold and The Rock.
Yeah.
Cena, Orton, etc. You know, iconic duos, or this type of thing. I hope that for the next 5, 10 or more years, you hear Rosa Baker, because that was in the same category of those duos. That was if you want to say it, that was the Stone Cold and Rock of the women's division of wrestling, not AEW, not Dynamite, of wrestling today.
Yeah,
the TLDRs watch this match.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's go into it.
Yeah,
incredible, bro.
Yeah, like as you said, this could be on the level of Stone Cold or Stone Cold and The Rock, kind of, in terms of what this match now, like in terms of the impact this will leave. Already, obviously, we've seen like iconic images from it just all over the internet. The blood coming down Britt Baker's face,
Thunder Rosa's hair, and
it's covered. She's literally genuinely covered in blood. Like her hair's like legitimately soaking with blood, and
like it's up there with the Lynch in the crowd, the Austin and the sharpshooter, and the fucking Guerrero getting the chair shot. It's up there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and rightly so, because they went like balls to the wall. They, like as I said about the thumbtacks, that's something you don't really see, even like lads. You don't see many lads doing it. Like not necessarily on free TV either. Do you know what I mean? They definitely hold that back for pay-per-view, but these girls didn't. They were like, right, we're gonna. I honestly feel with last night and how good that match was, we witnessed history. I genuinely do, and I think it's a testament to both women Thunder Rosa has been killing it for quite some time now as well. NWA, Lucha Underground, when she started, she was fairly young, like, and she was kind of in that spotlight. And then Britt Baker's like worked her arse off as well for the past, say, 2-3 years consistently. And I feel like, yeah, they definitely deserving of the praise. And they absolutely killed it with some of them spots as well.
Like the thumbtack spot was like vile, but not in like a don't want to watch it. Like wrestling has a very fine line between cringe, can't look, and seen it, done it.
Yeah.
I had not seen women go to these extents before.
Nope.
The bar has been set. Like it's going to be even harder now to tune into next week's Raw and watch a women's match because it will be so defeating and deflating if it can't catch up to that level even remotely. Like if we get the same quality that we got last week or the week before to some of the stars, and this is not a knock on them, not a knock on the other AEW women either, but they have set a bar as to what can be done with the time that they're given. And in terms of what we're usually given on free TV and even some pay-per-views, comparatively speaking, it's just, I've tasted fillet steak, lads. I can't go back.
That's exactly what it feels like. It feels like we've like hit that upper echelon now of like, and as I said, like these women can do that. You know what I mean? It's like, as you said earlier, you have the Becky Lynches, you have, say, the Sasha Banks, the Charlottes nowadays. There's a lot of great women's wrestlers, or wrestlers, you may as well say, because they're killing it more than the lads half the time. Do you know what I mean? It feels like some guys are, whether it's guys or girls, it feels like some wrestlers are just content with getting a paycheck nowadays, and not enough of them want to kind of step out of comfort zone and either make history, make a mark, or
I'm looking at you 24/7 title picture.
It's just like stand out from the crowd. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be a Shark Tank mentality to some people. And it's a shame that not everyone has that. But now, again, I don't know, obviously, what goes through every wrestler's head. But I'm just saying, when these girls came out last night and you have the main event, you have whatever, a lot of eyes on you anyway, because they built it up. And then they also had like a great card leading into it. It had all the, you could have failed. And even if they had like a great match, you're always going to get people talking shit about it anyway. But I literally have not seen anyone like talk shit about this match.
Like some people, you will take a high Metacritic score, a 4-star match, and they'll go, but it's still only 4 stars.
Yeah, exactly.
The glass is never full enough for those fuckers. No, I have not actually seen that at all. Like,
no, I haven't.
Like, can we talk about like the ladder spot? Like, I actually thought that it was the ladder that did it and that she didn't play it.
Oh, in the corner.
It was like that's saying something. I believed it.
Yeah, and that's what I liked. It was the fact that they used it. Everything was used like properly. It wasn't like, I'm going to throw this chair in here. I might hit like a DDT on it maybe, or I might just bang it across your back. The same with the tax. Like when the tax came out, I was blown away. I was blown away the tax were out, but then in my head, it's that like you always kind of get it in hardcore matches. You get a tease of something, but you don't see it. It's like when they set a table out on the outside. Nobody goes through that. Do you know what I mean? But every weapon was used perfectly, and it all had a place in the match, as you said. Corner spot with the ladder genuinely looked like a busted her open, and it's that level of believability that you want, and they delivered consistently throughout the match.
Like, right now, wrestling fans, men as well, do have a tendency to romanticize hyper violence to a degree, right? We've been as open as we could be here by saying, it's more so got to do with the theatrics of the violence used as opposed to the violence used. All things considered, after weighing it up with the talent that both women have, with the weapons that were used, with the pulling out all the stops above and beyond that we got, could this be considered as one of the greatest women's matches of all time?
I feel it definitely could. It could definitely has a claim to be one of the greatest women's matches of all time. Earlier on, I was thinking about, I was just sitting down, like, and we're into mid-March now. I know we're not flying through the year or whatever, but I feel like it's a contender for match of the year. There's only maybe 1 or 2 matches that are like slightly edge ahead of it. And again, that could be me being biased. Like, I think like certain matches just kind of do it for me in terms of like, was a Vengeance Day. P2 and Balor, say I loved P2 and Balor. This I loved just as much, so that's on par, if not slightly better. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So, and this is something that does actually need to be said real quick.
Yeah.
Irish bias aside, right?
Yeah.
There is a bias that people have toward the accolades that people that work for WWE have as a company, where you could watch an identical match between Shinsuke and AJ Styles on WWE telly, New Japan telly, and some no-name show. And depending on which one you saw first, and depending on which one, got the fans to talk about it, where one will have the fans harshly react, even if it's an identical match, and then one will have the fans laud over it.
Yeah.
The women of AEW have a natural disadvantage from an accolade point of view compared to WWE.
Yeah.
But specifically on a match-to-match basis, there's a lot of bias towards some of the more fun stars. So you picked out Pete Dunne and Balor specifically in this year, but that could be your NXT bias, that could be your Irish bias. But like if you strip that back for a second, could you really say that that was true and true just a better match, or is it that you like those competitors more? Because I actually would have to say that the Irish bias aside, those two lads I don't think had as good a match as those two girls.
Yeah, now that you actually put it like that, I don't think they did. I felt like I enjoyed the Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa match a lot more. I felt like there was no wasted movement. The way they say, every spot had a place. Everything worked to a T. The outside interference at the start, stuff like that. The ladder spot, as we said, the tax spot, table spot. There was another part with the tax where Thunder Rosa, I think, Thunder Rosa locked in submission. Oh no, sorry. Britt Baker locked in.
Britt Baker locked in the submission.
Yeah, and then Rosa rolled through the tax then to get her off. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? And she already had a heap of tax in her back at the time. Britt Baker did. And yet she still goes back in. And again, as I said, that's to shift momentum in terms of they know how good they are in the ring. They know what they can do. Whether it's a gimmick match, whether it's anything standard match, you could have them two girls have a shoe fight and it'd still be entertaining to watch. That's how good they are, the chemistry they have. But when it comes to what they did last night, I feel like that impact will be felt for a long time, not just in AEW, not just the women's wrestling. I feel like wrestling as a whole has actually shifted now. Just for that, like I haven't seen, as I said, I've seen so many people in unison talking great about this match. I honestly, this is not even a word of a lie. I haven't seen anyone like talk bad about that match, shit on that match. I haven't. And that rarely happens, as we said, in wrestling. You'll always have people saying, "Oh, well, it was an AEW match," or "Oh, well, it's just a women's match." It's like, no, everyone's on the same wavelength. That was a killer match.
I'll throw this final one in here.
Yeah.
If anyone talks shit about this match, if anyone decides to say it's just a women's match, just an AEW match, or Mankind did it better, or Undertaker did it better, or Triple H, Shawn Michaels did it better, or John Cena and Randy Orton, or whoever.
Yeah.
Right? You're wrong.
Yeah.
Because these two women didn't have the multi-billion-dollar industry behind them. But they weren't some backyard show CZW that just wanted shock factor. Like you said, everything had a place, everything had a spot. We, as wrestling fans, got more than we deserved out of that match. I honestly feel.
Absolutely,
And I can only hope that in the future, we get reignition of the feud between them. Not to see the same match twice, but just because it was so fucking enjoyable to watch that I want more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm there with you as well. I think it can only go up from here, do you know what I mean? Which is a bold statement to make. I don't mean like every match is going to be as good. I mean, your eyes are on it now. Do you know what I mean? And not necessarily just AEW. I just mean like wrestling as a whole. You're like, Jesus, if they can go out and show what they can do, why can't anyone else? I mean, or why can't everybody else? So I feel like, it was a great match, obviously. If I was rating it on a star scale, I'd give it 5 stars. If that's the highest you can go, say, I think it's well deserving of it. I think it is going to get all the plaudits, to be honest, from what I've seen already with other wrestlers from even other promotions. Like I know, obviously, Adam Cole's Britt Baker's missus, and he will really talk about her, obviously, because of he works at WWE. He even put up, he was like, my girlfriend's a badass or whatever it was. And it's one of them things you have to stop and appreciate what's happening. You have to not just live in your own bubble for a minute. And that was just a great wrestling match.
Like I said, hyper violence aside, if those two girls were two lads and those two lads were in WWF, we would have had Mankind count the 3 count to give Stone Cold the belt.
Yeah.
That's how we look at it. You know, it's fucking amazing. Like
it really was. But with that's all we wanted to jump on and just say. We just wanted to chat about what we thought about the match and how we think that'll impact kind of going forward, like wrestling as a whole. So we'll call it a day here. Just want to say thanks very much for listening. If you're listening on where you get your podcast, or if you're watching it on YouTube, thanks very much for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, drop a like and let us know what you thought of the match in the comments. But until next time, then, we'll see you soon.